Hi guys, my name is Maria Park and this is Approach the Nerd. And in this episode, we are discussing the CW's new series, Batwoman. And I wanted to review the pilot episode, but I don't like doing that because either the pilot is very good or not so good. And I'm not saying that the pilot for Batwoman was bad, it's just the pacing problem kind of got to me a little bit. Everything moved almost in fast forward. So we had Kate come home, Kate get injured, Kate get stitched up, and then Kate become Batwoman. It was like bam, 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 bam. So it was very, very fast. And I know they probably did that to sell it to networks and we're just getting what the network got. But I always try to wait till at least the second and sometimes third episode before I give my actual review of the series. So that's what I'm doing. So some backstory in the comics really quickly. How Kate and her sister Beth, or as you know, Alice, actually get separated is a little bit different than how it happens in the comics. In the comic book, they basically get kidnapped on, I believe it was their birthday, on the way to a restaurant to get chocolate waffles, which they actually kept in the second episode. They both love chocolate waffles. But instead of being a car crash, they were kidnapped by a terrorist organization. I believe it's called the Many Hands of Death. It has been a while since I read Detective Comics, so don't quote me on that. But I do remember that the mother gets assassinated. Beth goes missing. Kate does see a body under like a blanket or a rug or something like that. It was like bones. And so she assumed that her sister was dead. And the father, Jacob Kane, who was a colonel at the time, knew his daughter wasn't dead but couldn't find her and didn't tell Kate that he thought that Beth was still alive. So Red Alice is a product of being kidnapped by the terrorist group, watching her mother die, and then being brainwashed by the terrorist group, who, by the way, the Many Hands of Death, if that is their name, they worked for a company called, it's either Carrie or Callie, who was like, they're like a legit company, but they kind of smuggle weapons and other things. And so nobody could really pin them for anything at the time because it seemed like they were a legit company. So they had Beth the entire time, and eventually she ends up going to the US and she joins I think it was the religion of crime or something like that. I know they have a crime Bible in DC. You'll see it throughout all of the comics. They always refer to this crime Bible that they have, and there's a lot of followers that kind of follow the mottos of what Cain and Lilith did in the Bible, if you're into all that. So it's like they produce very crazy people. And Red Alice was very crazy, a lot crazier than what we're seeing so far in the Batwoman series. She would put kabuki type makeup on and she'd do her eyes up like a doll, like a porcelain doll, and it's just she's very bat poop crazy is what I'm gonna say, no pun intended. So they've definitely not upped the dramatics with Alice in the TV show like they do in the comic book. So with that said, what I do like about it, I love the cinematography. I actually like the suit. I love the shots for the fight scenes. I like the editing for it. A lot of the stuff does flow. Some of the problems I have are they reveal things too quickly. Like we already knew by the end of the pilot episode that Alice and Beth were the same. And we also knew that we're going to have some kind of dramatic, revelation with Sophie. I mean, Sophie is the love right now of Kate's life. It should be Renee Montoya if you follow the comic books. It's a completely different thing. But Sophie is the love of Kate's life. And of course, we learn at the end of the episode in the pilot, she's married to a man, which for some reason shocks Kate. And I don't understand why, because when they were in the military and they got caught, basically, Kate didn't deny it, and Sophie did, to be able to graduate with everyone else. So that should have told her there that Sophie was not going to back her up in any of this stuff. Even when in episode 2, when she's like, don't tell my dad, give us a head start. Of course Sophie told. It's like, why are you shocked by this? So that's a little annoying, but that's the CW. I feel like that's their model that they do. No hate towards the characters. I think that it's going to be a very cool show. I mean, so far I'm into it. I mean, I liked episode 2. It's just some things like that annoy me a little bit. So there's that. Luke Fox, which is the son, I believe, or I don't know if it's son or nephew of Lucius Fox, is not Lucius Fox. He's also not like the Luke Fox of the comics, because in the comics, he's more like Mr. Fantastic, extremely, extremely intelligent, very good with everything machinery and electronic. But in this version, it seems like he was just a caretaker of the building. He doesn't know how to do anything. So I have no idea who's going to fix her suit and stuff, or any of her weapons if they start malfunctioning, because obviously Luke is not up to that. So that's interesting. Some other parallels is I stated before that her father, Jacob Kane, knows that Beth is alive in the comics, and I'm pretty certain from how he's acting in the flashback scenes where he convinces Kate they found the body at some farm that she's checked a million times. I'm pretty certain that he thinks that Beth's alive too. And I also think he believes Alice is Beth, but he can't wrap his mind around the fact that one of his daughters is crazy enough to slit people's throats in their own house. So I think he's aware. I don't know about the woman he's married. This woman has an agenda. It's very obvious, and I'm pretty sure she knows that Alice is Beth too. I don't know what her agenda is right now, but yeah, she's dirty and sneaky. Her daughter, I am not sure if she brought her in, Mary, I think her name is, from another marriage, or if she's actually the half-sister of Kate. I do know that Alice seemed most like the comic when she was jealous of Mary and Sophie, because she tried to kill Sophie because she felt like her daddy liked her more than, or it was the most important daughter type in his life. And then Mary because she thought her twin favored Mary over her. So that those little aspects of crazy jealousy remind me of the comic. So that I think gets an A+, because that is what Alice does. She is completely irrational, illogical, and completely crazy. So I did like that. Also, like, I don't know if we're gonna see other villains like Batman / Batwoman type villains like later on. It would be cool to get some of the Birds of Prey, action in there, because Batwoman has associated with them. She also has a lot of villains she meets when she gets with Maggie Sawyer, which would be odd since the Maggie Sawyer of the Supergirl universe is probably not going to be the Maggie Sawyer of the Batwoman universe. And when they all do Crisis and merge, that would be very confusing. So maybe that's probably why we don't have Maggie Sawyer introduced in the series. But you never know. She might. I don't know. But yeah, so for those who don't know, Batwoman eventually marries in the canon Prime Earth, Maggie Sawyer. So she becomes her wife. So she has Renee Montoya. She also is with Maggie Sawyer. Sophie was like a blimp in her life. So the fact that they're focusing solely on that is interesting. But they did that in Arrow. I mean, Felicity was not even an Arrow character, and she became the major player when it actually should have been, Dinah. So, or Laurel, I guess is what they call her in the CW. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. But all in all, I don't dislike it. I think there's a lot of action. I love a lot of the things that they're doing with Batwoman. I love how dark Gotham looks in comparison. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like Starling City is what they called it originally, but it's a lot darker. I mean, there's graffiti and stuff. So to me, it kind of looks like it's never going to be as gritty as Black Lightning, because Black Lightning is its own entity. I mean, they even shoot it in Atlanta. But for me, it does have the city quality is kind of like a cross between like Freeland and Star City. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But that's how I see it. And like the graffiti everywhere, like the stores that are like completely busted out and all that. It's almost like if you watch the Birds of Prey, the TV show back in the early 2000s, I think it was, how Gotham looked at that point when Batman went missing. So it's almost like they're taking that and running with it again. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see where we're going to go from here. I'll probably do another review of this next time, because these are kind of long and drawn out, and I always like forget something I want to say. So I might do another video following up when I think of it. But for the most part, I like the incorporation of chocolate and waffles. That's definitely from the comic. The jealousy of Alice was from the comic book. The dad probably knowing that Beth is pretty much Alice, and then Beth is alive. I'm pretty sure that's going to be in there. Kate's guilt over her twin dying and not her, definitely from the comic. So they've been sticking to the comic book, but at the same time, they're trying to do their own thing, and I don't have a problem with that because it is a different entity. So nice little merge, I guess. But what do you guys think? Do you like the show? Do you hate it? Are you meh? Leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you'd like to be signed up for jury duty, hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to know who's next on the nerd ballot, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys. And if you have time, don't forget to check out some of these other videos.